friends and my teachers and my cat. It's totally inexhaustible. How about that? Who's got the power?
I do, I do.
Who's got the joy?
I do, I do.
Who's got the power and the love and the joy?
I do, you do too. I got the power, I can do most anything. I got the power, how do I know? 'Cause I'm breathing. I got the power, oh yes, I got the power. I got the power, oh yes, I got the power.
If anyone ever tells you that you're not strong, look them in the eye, tell them that they're wrong. Everybody's got it, no one goes without. The power lives in all of us, there's no doubt. Who's got the power?
I do,
Who's got the joy?
I do,
Who's got the power and the love and the joy?
I do, you do too. I got the power, I can do most anything. I got the power, how do I know? 'Cause I'm breathing. I got the power, oh yes, I got the power. I got the power, oh yes, I got the power.
Do you have the power?
Yes, I do.
Who's got the power?
Me and you.
Do you have the love?
Yes, I do.
Who's got the love?
Me and you.
Do you have the joy?
Yes, I do.
Who's got the joy?
Me and you.
Who's got the power and the love and the joy?
I do, you do too. I got the power, I can do most anything. I got the power, how do I know? 'Cause I'm breathing. I got the power, oh yes, I got the power. I got the power, oh yes, I got the power.
That's I Got the Power by Z and Nelly. They're so fun together, right? And I think we can all use an empowering children's song once in a while where we want to sing along. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Morristown. I'm Frankie Timbers, the spiritual director here, those of you that might not know me. And if you're here for the first time, we're thrilled to have you with us. You can actually get a free book, so be sure to check out our bookshelf and take whatever it is that you like. And those of you that are online, we're so grateful that you are checking us out because we are a really wonderful spiritual community that's been in the Morris County area for 70-ish years. One of the things that I am crystal clear about is that we're all hungry for spiritual wisdom, spiritual teachings, and spiritual community. And what I love about this community is that we offer that. And what I love about the teaching is that it fulfills that. Not just for me, but for thousands and thousands and thousands of people all over the world. Because it's just a beautiful teaching that comes out of all the different traditions. Most of the dogma is removed, and it's just about the clarity and the wisdom of knowing that our consciousness creates our experience. And that if something we're not happy with, we can either make peace with it, or we can learn to transform it. So today we are continuing the theme for the year, Grand Rising, and for October, Power to the People. And today the topic is, you've got the power, now what? And I'm really grateful that John Heron is joining us as an assisting practitioner. John hails from Princeton, part of the Center for Spiritual Living Princeton community. And we're just going to have a good time because after this we have a wonderful spread that Mark and Val and Max brought in for us, and Christy. And then at 12:30 we have a discovery class, which is really for anybody that wants to find out more about our teaching and then maybe what it means to be a member. So we do a spiritual practice called a Namaste practice. Namaste says the divinity in me bows to the divinity in you. So let's put our hands together and greet one another and say, Namaste. Namaste. Namaste.
Come on.
You are all too cute. And Gail, guess what? I remember where it is.
You're kidding me. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I've been looking for that for weeks.
That's so funny.
And I'm sitting here listening to the music and I saw it in my mind. I haven't looked yet, but I saw it in my mind. We're looking for a different color. So there we go. Smart of me to leave it there, right? So smart to leave it right where it belongs. Let's do an opening treatment, which is our word for affirmative prayer. So as I close my eyes and I withdraw my attention from the outer world, I fall into this inner world that is so rich and beyond measure, and it's so infinitely pure. And I know that's true for each and every one of us. So we meet in this place together, this place of light, this place of love, this place of wisdom, this place of all that is good, because that is what God is. And so we can use any word we want to, but today we remember to use a word to describe that makes our heart explode with faith, with trust, with love, with joy, with gratitude. Because I know that there's a power and a presence that is greater than we are, and we are using it. And we can use it more consciously to be a light in the world. So I know that we may witness a whole bunch of different kinds of darkness, but we know that the light within us dispels that. So we know that we have our work cut out for us, and we can trust that it can happen with ease and grace, that we can be patient with ourselves and each other, that we can allow ourselves to have unconditional love, be the voice of inner guidance, and we can trust that the power that is greater than we are is truly already within us and is available to us to be used. So as we explore this topic today, and as we come together as a spiritual community, I know that each of us are uplifted in whatever way it is that we need to be uplifted, so that when we leave this place, we take all that with us and we make a difference in the world that we move in, whether it's quietly or out loud. And so with awe and gratitude for how Spirit works by means of each and every one of us, we simply know that this affirmative prayer is now imprinted upon the universal law, and it knows how to demonstrate it a heck of a lot better than any of us do. And that is worthy of celebration. And so it is.
So it is.
So I like changing things. I love change. I love moving things around. I know that's not true of everybody, so hang in there. But we're going to start today with John. So John is going to share some wisdom with all of us, and we're just going to take it all in our own way. John?
Take it away, John.
Take it away, John.
So Reverend Frankie just said a not truth. Yeah, we're not starting with John, we're starting with all of us,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I mean, seriously, why are we sitting here? Why are we sitting someplace having coffee and a bagel with a schmear someplace, right? No, we chose to be here. So what does it mean to be here? In terms of this teaching, what does it mean to be here?
Truth.
Thank you. Absolutely. And that truth can appear, who's got the power? We've got the power, right? We hear that every Sunday. Maybe during the week you think about it a little bit. Do we live it? Have we found the deeper levels inside of us, which is the whole point of this teaching? We are that. We have the power. What's that core statement that Ernest Holmes said? There is a power greater than we are, and we can use it. That's what this teaching, we learn how to be it and use it. So in 1959, Ernest Holmes was at a retreat center in Asilomar, which is near Monterey in California. Beautiful, I was there a couple of years ago. And he gave a talk, and it's called The Sermon by the Sea. right? And he said some really interesting things there about who we are and who we can be. So I'm going to suggest, I just want to add one thing before we actually go there. Because here we are, we all came here Sunday morning at 11 o'clock, and the world around us is really challenging, right? And each one of us is experiencing that challenge in a quite different way. How does this truth, this teaching, help us to really navigate this world? Because I very firmly believe that when we learn to live from the place of the peace that lives within us, we change the world. Whatever's going to happen outside, we change the world by who we are. So we're going to do this sort of as a meditation. And I suggest that as I read these words that Ernest Holmes said, that you let yourself think about, how much of this am I? Find me one person who is for something and against nothing, who is redeemed enough not to condemn others out of the burden of their soul, and I will find another Savior, another Jesus, another exalted human being. Who are you? Who are you in that? Find me one person who no longer has any fear of the universe or of God or of humanity or of anything else. And you will have brought to me someone in whose presence we may sit, and fear shall vanish as clouds before the sunlight. I used to be in a spiritual teaching, and the head of our monastery, where I was, you would sit in a room with him and all the clouds would go away. He had such a consciousness, the clouds just went away. The point of this teaching is every one of us are that. Are we choosing that? That's the question. Find me someone who has given all that they have in love, without morbidity, and I will have found the lover of my soul. Is not this true? Why? Because they will have revealed to me the nature of God and proved to me the possibility of all human souls. To me, God is, that word God, right, is infinite possibility for good that is built into every single one of us. And the question is, are you allowing yourself to be that? Not just on Sunday morning, but do you go out in the world in the middle of this crazy election season and all the crazy things that are happening in the world? Are you the center of love? Is that the choice you're making? And I'll leave you with that question.
come together now in one accord. We come together in this moment. We bind our hearts and minds, for we all form a tapestry woven from one life, one creation, undivided, all unique expressions of God. We come together now in one one creation, undivided, all unique expressions of God. We come together now in one accord. We come together in this moment. We bind our hearts and minds, for we all form a tapestry woven from one life, one creation, undivided, all unique expressions of God. We come together now in one accord. We come together now in
Thank you, John. That was lovely. And that was Jack Fowler, Song As We Come Together. That's an old CD. That's just so wonderful. So on the first Sunday in October, I talked about that phrase, there's a power for good in the universe that is greater than we are, and we can use it. And then last week, we explored this idea that what's available to all of us, that we're all powered by prayer, but that it requires a choice, right? And so this week, I keep thinking of that song, you got the power, you got the power, and now what? So the Science of Mind teaching for many years was very much about our individual experience, our individual consciousness, developing our individual consciousness. And the Centers for Spiritual Living really has evolved into this place of, but how do we show up in the world? How can we be known in the world with the principles that we teach and the principles that we believe in? And I already know for sure that each of you in your own way bring a little bit of the teaching or a lot of the teaching into the world that you live in, that you bring some light wherever you go, whatever you are doing. And it's not about how or how much or when you don't or when you do, because the tendency that we have as human beings is we focus on the not. we have a tendency, because of our ego nature, our human nature, and because it's kind of our default, to focus on what's wrong in the world, what's wrong with us, what we're not doing enough of, what we're not doing the right way. And spiritual life is really about saying, well, that may be true, and that's just fine, but that's not my attention, that's not my focus. My focus is on the truth of who I am, the truth of who I am becoming, the truth of what I believe, the truth of my spiritual practices, and how they come alive in my experience. So Ernest Holmes so beautifully talks about this in the Sermon by the Sea. The last paragraph in the Sermon by the Sea, I put in the blurb this week, which is, find me 1,000 people. Do you think that there's 1,000 people in CSL? More or less? Wink, wink, wink. Find me 1,000 people in the world who know what our teaching is and use it and live it as it is, and I'll myself live to see a new world, a new heaven, and a new earth here. And so once we think about paying attention to who we are, what we are in the truth, and we let go of what we aren't yet, or who we aren't yet, there is a freedom that rises up in us, not just to mention the freedom of how much energy rises up, because I'm telling you, you know this, that when you're focused on what's wrong or what you don't have yet, that costs an enormous amount of energy. Have you noticed that? Yeah, right? And so it is in the teaching that we talk about our evolution, our spiritual evolution. When I first was in this teaching, I beat people to death with it. I would talk to anybody about it. I had lots of judgment about it. I was telling people how they should live, what they should think. I was telling them about the science of mind and how they should all come. And I was just so passionate about it. And that's kind of the first stage, right? You find this teaching and you find this center and you're so excited. You want to talk to everybody about it. And you want to tell everybody, and you want to invite all your family and friends, and you hope that they all come to believe the same. Then there's a next stage. And actually, let me back up a little bit. One of the reasons that this first stage usually happens is because we've been searching. We've either been searching or we've been suffering. A lot of time people come into our teaching because they're struggling and they're suffering and something's missing and they want something more, right? And then they talk about it, right? And then the next stage is called, and I have a handout for this. So the first one is called the Talking School. This is from sacreddays.com. It's where we're seeking. The next stage is where you get answers. You kind of go, oh, it's my own consciousness, it's my own mind. Oh, I have some power, I can do something about this. I can look at it in a different way. I can do my spiritual practices and have a different kind of experience. So that's the walking school. So first we talk the talk, and then we walk the walk, right? And something begins to change because there is more of a freedom. We begin to demonstrate. And then the third stage is getting the questions. The third stage is saying, oh, it's all happening within me. The infinite wisdom of spirit itself is within me. And the more I listen, the more I experience communion there, the more I begin to understand myself, my other fellow human beings, and the world. And this is where we then begin to not just walk the talk and practice what we preach, but we begin to walk the walk. We begin to live what we believe, and it begins to show up in our lives. And so many of you, I know, this shows up in the world. You might have a different relationship with people around you. You might be of service in a different way. You might be known as the person who is always happy, is always smiling, is always kind, is always patient, right, or most of the time, right? Maybe not always. And so we begin to realize that there is a way of being in the world that's different than before, right? I always say there's before Science of Mind for me, and then there's after, when I first discovered it. For me, it was like, oh my goodness gracious, here is a teaching that thinks the way I think. Who knew? It was so empowering, right? And so we get to do this together. The 3 stages, I'm happy to share it with you so that you can take a look at it later, is just one example of what happens when we step onto the spiritual path in a conscious way. We change, and our lives change. It's Margaret Mead, who was an anthropologist, a very well-known anthropologist, who said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. In fact, it's the only thing that ever has. So, a small group of people can change the world. We are changing the world. We just have a tendency to look at where we haven't yet and what's wrong with that instead of what's happening. You know, I loved it when Reverend Nicolette said to me, your group of people are the happiest group of people I've ever met. That's how we are known at Brookside Community Church. You know what that means? That says so much. I don't know if in your world people say, what is it about you that's different? You're more peaceful, you're more calm, you're more kind. You see the good in people. What is that? And so I know that each of us have a different contribution to make. So each of you got a little 2x4 card, right? And a pen. Who didn't? Okay, so come and get them and pass them out. Thank you so much, Charlie. So everybody, I want everybody to have a card and a pen. Got it. More coming. Got it? So what I want you to write on your card is 1, 2, 3, 4 ways, I don't know, that you already feel you are a light in the world. So remember, you're not focusing on what you aren't or aren't yet. Don't let that suck the light out of you. Think about how you are. How are you already a light in the world? How do you feel you show up in the world as a result of being on the spiritual path that's different? So if somebody is sitting here saying, I don't have anything, great, that's good awareness. What then would you love? What would you love it to be? Write that down. What would you love it to be?
Just one?
Whatever feels right. If you have more than one, write them down. And remember, don't let get in the way those voices that say, I'm not enough, I don't do enough, I don't have enough, not right now. Just listen to the part of you that has that yes inside of you. Sometimes it means that we have to get quiet and listen a little bit longer because it's been a bit hidden. And so you're going to take that card with you so that more comes, you will remember it, and you're going to be using that card later. So it's Michael Beckwith who said this in his celebration last Sunday. Before you incarnated on earth, you promised to distribute gifts, power, love, beauty, intelligence, and radiant goodness of your soul. You promised. Your purpose is then obviously to reveal the presence of God according to your uniqueness and to bring heaven to earth. So when you understand your promise and then your purpose, then you understand what progress is. Progress isn't getting more stuff. Progress is the unfolding of the perfect spiritual idea that is you. So we get to ask ourselves the question, how am I living what I believe? Or is it just a thought, something I think about, or something I wish for? How do I get to live that? How do I live my spiritual beliefs? How do I live my values? Or how would I love more to live that? So the next question then is, how do you sustain that? The things that you wrote down, how do you sustain that? How do you feed that? How do you stay in that place? Those of you that said, well, I'm not there yet, it's my vision. Well, what do you imagine? How do you sustain that? What do you do?
Meditate.
Meditate?
Fill up my cup. You know,
Fill up your own cup?
Yeah, or get it filled.
Affirmations.
Affirmations?
Come here.
Come here.
Nature.
Nature, be in nature.
Say the Lord's Prayer.
Say the Lord's Prayer.
Visualizing.
Visualizing.
Praying.
Praying.
Be with other people who are loving.
Being with other people who are loving or of like mind. Yes, there is a long list of ways that we can sustain that. That doesn't mean we cannot be down. It doesn't mean we can't forget. It just means that we know what it is that we need to do when we forget. That there is something else, right? There's ways to go to the well. For me, it's to spend a lot of time in silence, to be by myself, to do my own study, to do my own journaling. That feeds me in such a way that it's much more easy for me to be patient in New Jersey traffic. Or to be patient with somebody I might witness doing something stupid or mean or whatever else I judge it to be, right? So we have to find ways so that we can stay in this place of holding our vision or living the wisdom that we have embodied. In our teaching, and those of you that are attending Discovery class today, you're going to learn more about that. It's really about what we call the 5 pillars, which is study. You study this teaching, you take the classes, which is a spiritual mind treatment, affirmative prayer, affirmations, right, our practices. Then there's meditation, there's circulation, because what is it that we know as a basic principle of this teaching, which is as I give,
So I receive.
so I receive. It's, my teacher used to say giving and receiving should be one word, right? And so it's that circulation, whether it's giving of our financial support, giving of our time, treasure, talent. And then there's seva, which kind of overlaps a little bit, right? Which is service, which is to give back. Look what Valerie and Mark and Max did today. We're having a wonderful social hour because they are of service to us. Look at beautiful Christy, who is leading our social hour team. Look at everybody here that serves in one shape or form at some point or another. You're all such givers. I only have to ask, will somebody help? And there's always people jumping up saying, I'll help, which is really a beautiful thing. And we're all grateful for it. So what is it that the master teacher Jesus said in the book of Matthew? Where 2 or more are gathered in my name, who remembers? There I am in the midst of them. Let's translate that metaphysically, because it doesn't mean that where there aren't 2 or more gathered, that spirit is not in the midst. But there's a shift that happens when we come together as a group of people of like mind. There is a more palpable sense of the presence of love, or God, or peace, or power, or joy, or whatever you call that, and there is a different experience. That's why when you leave on a Sunday, or you leave a workshop or a class, you have shifted in consciousness and you feel different. because there is an awakening of the presence and the power of divine love or of God within you. So, metaphysically, it just means that we are already making a difference in the world, simply because we're on a spiritual path. We are already witnessing this when we look for the good. It's easy to focus on what isn't there yet, what isn't working, what isn't happening yet, right? But we know that what we focus on, we experience. What we focus on, we become. And so we want to shift that, and we want to focus on and look for the good. Look for the gifts, look for the blessings. He said, who was it that said, Mr. Rogers? What was that saying? Look
for the help.
Look for the helpers, right? Yeah, look for the helpers. So what this means is that we remember to celebrate. I am so incredibly grateful for this teaching every single day. And I've only been in it about 40 years. Every day I'm more grateful. I was talking to a friend the other day and I was saying, if I didn't have this teaching, I don't know how I would see the world, how I would be, how I would live, how I would be experiencing life. I am so grateful and more grateful each day. So the idea is to notice the good, to live that, to pass it on. It means to stand in the love that you already are, to look where the love is being given, not where it's missing, and to live that and to pass that on. I love doing little things like when I go to the grocery store, I'm actually looking for acts of random kindness. You know, is there something on the floor that shouldn't be on the floor? Instead of stepping over it, can I pick it up and put it back on the shelf? You know, can I maybe, if somebody's looking, say, can I help? Or maybe I can say, well, you look so beautiful today. Or at the cashier, thank you so much for your service, because personally, I think that job would really suck. Right? So thank you for your service, you know. Just little things like that to make it a point to share the love wherever we go. And then to savor all the gifts and the blessings. Because the more we savor the gifts and the blessings, the more light we feel inside of us. If there comes a time, or if there is a day or a moment where you don't feel any of this, which I'm pretty sure everybody has experienced those, I have regularly, then just know that you have people to lean on. You have people to lean on. You have practitioners to lean on. You have me to lean on. There are thousands of practitioners in our movement that are available just by dialing 10 numbers, 11 numbers, just by reaching out. There is materials to lean on. There are materials to lean on. There's nature to lean on. There is good food to lean on. You know, I had such a great meal the other day with my honey, and it just nourished me in a spiritual way because I could taste the love in the food. That's wonderful, right? So we want to remember that when we don't feel that sense of connection, that you are not alone. You have an entire community and people in that community and beyond that you can lean on, that's there for you, that can lift you up. Because there's only one power. There's only one power. That power is your power, my power, their power, our power. There's only one power. And when we forget that and we say there's more than one, we lose our light. We lose our energy. That is not there to punish you. That is there to say, oh, I forgot. I forgot. Just momentarily, I forgot. We truly believe in the power of holding the high watch, holding our vision, holding the truth, knowing that that does something. So I want to close with a reading by my spiritual teacher, one of my spiritual teachers, my meditation teacher, I call him, Llewellyn Von Lee. He says this: we are not here on earth to be alone, but to be part of a living community, a web of life in which all is sacred. Like the cells of our body, all of life is in constant communication, as science is just beginning to understand. No bird sings in isolation. No bud breaks open alone. And the most central note that is present in life is its sacred nature. Hearing its presence speak to us, we feel this great bond of life that supports and nourishes us all. Today's world may still at times make us feel lonely, but we can then remember what every animal, every insect, every plant knows, and only we have forgotten: the living, sacred whole. We are just here to remember that all life is sacred, and that our life is sacred, our body is sacred, our mind is sacred, our heart is sacred, every aspect of our experience is sacred. And that when we forget, it's not a bad thing. It's just leading us to a greater sense of remembering. I know that every time I forget, which is often, I just have to pause now, and the remembrance comes more quickly and more easily. And the forgetfulness is different. It's almost a celebration, because I know where it's going to take me. And I know you know this, because that's inherent in each and every one of us. That's the sacred within each and every one of us, already fully alive. And that's it. And that's it. So, in case any of you need any reminders, there's lots of events that we have happening at our center, right? We have Discovery class today. This is for anybody that says, what are you all about? I want to know more. And what does it mean to become a member? Because it's not a requirement, but it might be an interest because it's part of your spiritual evolution. So that's a free class from 12:30 to 3. Next week, you're all in for a treat, because Reverend Janice and I are on a retreat, and Reverend Michelle Wadley is going to be here. She is speaking, and she's doing a workshop afterwards. And the cool thing about that is she just came out with a brilliant book called Shadow Work. So you want to come to that, and be sure to register for it so she knows that you're coming. All that can happen online. The week after that, I get to speak at Center for Spiritual Living Princeton, but I'll quickly come over here. And thank God it's daylight saving, so we get an extra hour sleep, because in the afternoon, Christy is creating a healing afternoon. So there's some really good stuff happening in the afternoon. Be sure to register for that. And then on the 10th, November is such a fun month, Fernando, did you know that Fernando is an incredible artist? He's not just a co-chair of the Leadership Council and works hard, but he's a very creative person, and he's going to do a very creative workshop for us. And then the week after that, Reverend Janice is speaking and facilitating the next community meeting that you all want to come to, because in 5-ish months, I won't be here, and I know that each of you are going to be a part of rising up and growing this center in what it's yet best to be and beyond that. So come to that meeting. There's a potluck afterwards. And then the week after that, we have Bill doing a dream interpretation workshop. Bill has been studying his dreams. We talk about it all the time because I do too. I dreamt last night I was shopping somewhere in a very cool shop, but it had no ceiling.
Oh.
You'll have to tell me what that could mean.
Unlimited.
Unlimited possibility.
Unlimited. It was a really cool clothes shop too. All right, so now is the time for us to share our gratitude and our good. I know there's many different ways to share. There are no expectations. This is just about you saying, I received so much, I want to get back. So if you want to give a financial gift, that's what this basket is about. If you're not giving or not giving today, you can just bless the basket. And let's repeat together. Divine love consecrates my gift.
Divine love consecrates my gift.
It goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless.
It goes forth to heal, prosper, and bless.
It returns to me,
It returns to me,
multiplied abundantly,
multiplied abundantly.
as I share my good.
As I share my good,
I accept my greater good.
I accept my greater good.
And so it
And
is.
so it is.
All right. So I think because we moved some things around, I think it's just a closing treatment with John. Come on, John.
Affirmative prayer. Us being here is the affirmative prayer. Right?
Okay.
So, this is the word of affirmative truth for this moment, for these people who are participating today in this celebration, and anybody who might be watching it at home, now or in the future. So what I know is there really is one power. Just one. And it is everywhere, in everything, at all times, and it is love. And that love is present, fully present. It vibrates, it lives in everything. And therefore it vibrates and lives in everyone who has participated and is participating in this celebration today. This vibration of love is the truth of everyone who is participating. And I know that that vibration of love, that living love, now fills, surrounds, and protects each person. I know that that love goes out from each person, fills their lives, fills the lives of those around them, and fills the world. That love, that living love, is now fully present for everyone. And I know that each one goes out into the world and experiences that love in everything, everywhere, throughout their week and on into the future. That love is the center of life. And each one knows it. And there can be nothing but gratitude for that truth. And knowing this with great gratitude, I release it to the law. The law is the yes that takes form. It is now taking form. I release it. It is done, and so it is.
So it is. So it is.